On Overdrive today, we find out whether the updated Kia Carnival is worthy of its heavy price tag, and we experience a luxurious yet extremely powerful electric Mercedes-Maybach EQS 680. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I am Soini Datta. If you're in the market looking for a premium MPV, then you have just one option to choose from, and that is the Kia Carnival. Now, the Kia Carnival is back in the Indian market in its 4th generation with a heavier price tag. But do the updates justify that price tag? Let's find out.
The Kia Carnival is back in India in its latest facelifted 4th generation form, and it's been grabbing a lot of headlines with how much pricier it's become. So let's just get behind the wheel and see if you actually get your money's worth now. The Carnival has gone through a significant update. It is now 40 mm longer, 10 mm wider and 20 mm taller, and the interior space has been optimized over this. The front overhangs have reduced and you have a stiffer architecture with better NVH controls, says Kia. The engine, suspension setup and brakes have also been reworked. Now, like earlier, the centerpiece of the Kia Carnival continues to be the second row. And just like before, getting in and out is very simple. Of course, you have that power opening door, and then it's very easy to get in. You pull the door back, and yeah, I can also, just like before, slide the seat inside and then give myself this much legroom. Now, of course, then the third row won't be too usable, but it's okay. I mean, you can always adjust the kind of legroom that you have. Now, to start with, I'll tell you about the amenities that you have here. Of course, you have a sunroof, you have your own climate zone, these vents here, sunshades. These seats now get a heating and a ventilation function, and they're also power adjusted now. Now, aside from the usual reclining angle and the ottomans, you also now get a relaxation mode, which, as you can see, will give me this great sort of position here. And then if that wasn't enough for you, you still have the boss function that pushes this seat forward. So yeah, you can free up a massive amount of space here. Now, Kia says that in most aspects, this space is larger than before, except for in terms of legroom. And just like in the last Carnival, you do notice that with the ottomans sort of fully spread out, your feet fall foul with the front seats. Now, this is riding on 18-inch tires now, and while Kia has done a lot of work with the suspension, both in terms of how good it is around corners and even in terms of ride comfort, it is good, say on a highway, on a clean road like this, you don't find too many issues. You can just feel the car flowing along. It's a quite stable ride. It feels well put together. It feels like it's stuck to the ground well, so it is a comfortable journey. Now, where you do notice some of that underlying firmness is over a broken patch of road or a sharp speed breaker. There you do find that it's a bit firm. You do notice some of the sort of jolts in the cabin, but again, it's nothing that will take away from the entire experience of being in the Kia Carnival. Now, driving the Kia Carnival in this new form, it's broadly a similar experience to what it was like before, because the engine, the drivetrain itself hasn't changed much. Now, Kia says it has worked on this 2.2 litre diesel engine, and you do notice that it makes slightly less power now, 193 PS, but torque has remained the same at 441 Nm, and it still pairs with the same 8-speed torque converter automatic. And like before, it's a perfectly acceptable unit. It's a diesel engine, which at this price point, especially with an MPV body style, you don't find too many of these. So that by itself gives the Carnival somewhat of a USP. And really, on the move, it's pretty inoffensive. It does the job of what you want from an MPV pretty well. So at low speeds in the city, it gives you that where you have power, where you have torque right from as soon as you step on the throttle. So even below 2000 RPM, it will have a good deal of torque. It doesn't feel hesitant, it doesn't feel lethargic. And then when you do want power, say on the highway or just even in the city, when you want that big dab of power, you do notice that it has a smooth, very strong wave of diesel torque, just how you would want in a car like this. Now again, with this being as big a car as it is and what its purpose is, its handling characteristics won't be very high on your list of priorities. But again, like the last car, it's very easy to get used to. It doesn't feel its weight. It's a really big, wide, heavy car, but it doesn't really feel like that on the move. It feels quite easy to sort of maneuver in any situation. The steering isn't too heavy, so That's not a problem. Even on the highway, it doesn't feel too vague or sort of light. And the same goes with the way it handles, say, a set of corners. Now, of course, you won't be going very fast in this car, but take it smoothly, take it calmly, and it sticks to the road. There are no surprises. It doesn't catch you out. There is roll, but again, it's not too alarming. So it leans in as progressively as something this big can. And yeah, so something to get used to driving. Either you or your chauffeur will not find that there's too much of a learning curve to driving such a big car. And you never really know how much braking you are getting. I think that should have been corrected. And while in normal driving it's not too much of a problem, in a panic braking situation that might catch you out sometimes.
There's still more to tell you about the Kia Carnival, about the creature comforts this MPV has to offer. Stay with us. After this very short break, we'll tell you all about it. Welcome back. You're with us on Overdrive. The 2024 Kia Carnival is based on a new architecture, which means it is 40mm longer, 10mm wider and 20mm taller than the previous model. It also means it's a 7-seater MPV, which offers plenty of creature comforts and features. Let's take a look.
The 2024 Kia Carnival follows the recent trend of MPVs taking inspiration from SUVs and carrying an imposing face. The L-shaped DRLs are a common Kia theme, and you have those striking vertical light clusters too. But the wide chrome-studded grille draws the most attention with its varying textures and finishes. The bodywork is now more sophisticated than earlier, with simple lines and flat surfaces. You notice this in profile the most. Kia has done well to break up the big glass house with the inverted textured C-pillar, which adds a distinct touch to the Carnival. The design of the 18-inch wheels add more flash again. The functional rear is again well done too, with the again quite familiar Kia light signature with the split light bar and vertical cluster. The big spoiler and raked windscreen also break up the mass to an extent. Now Kia has retained that really smart boot arrangement that was a great talking point with the last Carnival. So as you can see, with all the 3 rows up, you still have a very significant 627 liters of space. As you can see, all of our luggage has been swallowed up very easily. So if you are on a road trip with a full load of passengers, you won't have problem with their luggage with the Carnival. And at times when you do need to free up more space, it's really quite easy to do that as well. All you do is pull this. It takes some effort, but really not that much. And as you can see, these things fold completely flat. The Kia Carnival now gets an especially comprehensive suite of level 2 ADAS functions, as well as a clear set of 360-degree cameras. There are also 8 airbags, TPMS and auto headlamps and wipers. Now the Carnival really does feel like it's taken a few steps forward once you get into the front seats. Although to be honest, you probably will not spend a lot of time here, but when you do think of spending time here, it's a reasonably well appointed space. Now you have soft materials, you have them here and also along the doors over here and here. But generally the layout itself is quite a bit more modern compared to the last version. With that old bank of buttons that it had over here, it's much improved from there. So you have this sort of layered look to it with this section here, the gloss black, then this sort of merging of the vents, more gloss black here, this sort of ambient lighting highlights, and this really quite wide central tunnel. Also going with this modern theme are the new interfaces for the screens. They now have a more modern widget-based layout that puts a lot of functions on the home screen and makes access to menus easier. It continues to be fairly responsive like Kia's earlier system. The digital instrument cluster has received a similar treatment, but the overall theme for both could have been brighter. Yes, it does have a more seamless sense to it though. Now this new Carnival can be had in the 7-seater captain seat layout only, which means getting to the third row is slightly convoluted. You walk through like this, and this is how you get in. Now like the second row, space here too has grown marginally from the last version, but the Carnival always had one of the more usable third row spaces, and that continues with this version as well. As you can see, I am fairly comfortable here, and unlike many of these third row seating sort of configurations, I'm not completely knees up, so I still have a decent degree of thigh support. As you can see, the seats, they are actual usable seats. Priced at ₹63.90 lakh, the Kia Carnival has become significantly more expensive. Yes, you don't quite get the cabin quality, ambience or refinement of a full-blown luxury brand, but Kia has thrown the kitchen sink in for the price, which helps. The Carnival is an especially comfortable space to be chauffeured in and comes with a powertrain to match this. This diesel engine, given the big gap in the MPV market which Kia has tried to fill with this model, the Carnival continues to make a case for itself if you don't want to spend upwards of ₹1 crore.
Well, it's time to head into our final break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we drive the very luxurious Mercedes Maybach EQS 680. Stay with us, you're watching Overdrive.